So it comes down to ethics. I mean, what are their ethics, their morals? Where is their compass aligned with? And now, when you say what distinguishes a good person, I mean, that really comes down to how they act under pressure.
Mm,
When they're in the moment, what do they naturally fall back on?
mm.
That's when you can tell. Like when you're looking at someone, like if you see, like there's a fire across the street and somebody screaming for help, I'm gonna go fucking run in there.
Mm.
Not because I want the attention or not because I don't give a fuck about my life, but the fact is, there's somebody that needs help. I'm the individual that's going to react and just do it.
Mm. Yeah, I like that. I like that because I think you're right. I think there's like a certain lens, or maybe a lens that's removed when times are tough, when the pressure's on. There's a saying I say to my son all the time. It's kind of a stupid one, but it works for me. Like, it's easy when it's easy, but it's hard when it's hard. And the idea I try and tell him there is like, hey, it's easy to be a good kid, to be good to your mom, to do your chores when everything's going great, right? You got no homework,
Mhm.
it's the weekend, you're feeling
Mhm.
good. But what about
Yeah.
when it's hard? What about when you're stressed? Can you still be nice to your mom then? Can you still, clean up your room then? That's when it really matters. And I think you're speaking to that, which I think there's a lot to that. How do you, so this show can get a little philosophical at times, and I think you're touching on something that's an important philosophical discussion.
Mhm.
So the idea of like, hey, if somebody needs help, you do it. I think for a lot of people conceptually, they hear that and they say, yeah, that is the right way to do it. But particularly in today's world, my belief, I'm curious yours, but is that there's a lot of people that think they're doing that, right? They're acting in certain ways. And in their mind, they've convinced themselves that they're helping people. They're doing it for a good reason. But maybe
Mhm.
some of us would be like, that's not it, man. Like, that's hurting. That's making shit worse. How do you,
Beautiful.
there's a subjectivity there of like,
Mhm.
what's helping somebody and when does somebody actually need help and what action you should take to help them. Like the fire example may be more straightforward, but when it gets a little
Mhm.
trickier, how do you think about that?
That's a beautiful question, and really, I'm thinking about this as we're talking about it. It really comes down to what what was taught to them in the very beginning, their
Mm,
social upbringing. Now, does that go in line with these values that they developed in time with what's beneficial for me, what's beneficial for them? Is it self-gratifying that the action that they're doing, and if somebody does need help and you give them help, that's great. But the long goal here is to make an impact in somebody's life. Now, God, it's a difficult way how you put this. I really want
it's
to hit
tough,
this.
right? That's
It's
part of the
it's
reason I
on the
do this
tip of
show,
my
is
tongue.
yeah.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm gonna get it here. So, like looking at it from our own view, damn, like this is really. I would have it. Like, hold on, I know I can get this
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. Take it, man.
It's
I was going to throw an example at you too, but go ahead if you're good.
don't give me an example.
All right, so let's make it
Thank you.
real in today's world, right? And this is somewhat, it's very relevant. It's maybe controversial, provocative, but let's explore it. Let's see. And I'm not claiming this, but let's take Putin to right now in Russia, right? Regardless of where you
Sure.
sit or how you think about it, from what I'm reading and seeing, it seems as if, and who knows what's going on in his mind, but it seems as if he thinks he's helping people. He thinks there's a problem in Ukraine, whether it be a cultural thing or it's risk to Russia in some way. And in some ways, you could run through the framework of what you said in the beginning. And he says, like, shit, like I hit everything Greg said. I'm doing this exactly right. I saw a problem. Times are tough. The whole world's against me. And that would make it easy for me to back down. But I'm going in there and I'm going to fix this problem because I want to help Russians. I want to do the right thing. And
Mhm.
again, some people might look at that and say, yep. I think a lot of people would look at it and say, what are you, fucking crazy? Like, that's not how you help people. Like, you're out of your mind.
Mhm.
How do you assess that situation? How would you help somebody like that make sense of that?
Beautiful. So now we can look at it from an organizational standpoint. If we were to go all the way up that hierarchy to an individual that has that kind of power, there would be a mediator that is there in his decision making,
Mm,
and maybe in a business, an ethics consultant that you would look to when you think you're in the right position, because you do need governance in your
mm,
decision making. Now, with that in mind, there is a trifecta that you have to keep in mind when making this critical decision making. You need to have, of course, the legality standpoint, and you also need the ethics standpoint.
mm,
But then, with those on each side, the very bottom part, which would be an upside down triangle, would be your own values, your beliefs, your morals, which brings this thing together.
Mm.
And that is what's supposed to help you in your decision making and making you think, I know I'm right because I did all three.
Mm. So that's interesting. So for you, when you're thinking about somebody with character, it's not all just internal. There's almost a realization in it that, yes, I have my values, I have my beliefs, and hopefully I've thought through them, I've pressure tested them, but that's
Mhm.
still not enough. I need to look at the
No.
other aspects of this, the external kind of ethical view of it, the legal view of it. And maybe sometimes you don't hit all three, I would imagine, but that check is always there. And you're trying, if you're not hitting the legal one, for example, maybe we go back to the times of slavery. Somebody might say like, hey, it's illegal to free a slave, but it's ethically, it's the right thing to do. It ties with my values. So it's
Mhm.
making it more holistic. It's making it, it's giving more checks. It's giving you more chances to make sure that it's not just your own ego or your own things running through, leading you to a bad decision.